Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Sonder Social. For those of you who are new, huge welcome. And for those of you returning, welcome back. I'm Malika. I will be guiding you through your social today, and we will be kind of walking through the weekly setup pages together to get us all prepped and ready for the week. I'm joined today by the fabulous Katie, who will be manning the chat. She'll be kind of helping answer any questions you might have, and just kind of helping us just guide you through the social if you have additional questions. Just a reminder before we get started, make sure to set your chat to everyone. We will be kind of chatting in this webinar, and that's kind of how we interact with one another. So if you have something you'd like to share with the group, make sure to double check, triple check that blue toggle is set to everyone. And for folks who are, I do see some familiar names in the chat, so welcome back. But if you are new, go ahead and write "I'm new" in the chat so that we can give you a huge welcome to Sonder Socials. I know I love Sonder Socials. A lot of folks love it too, just because it's a great way to get ideas, share how we use our journals, and just really kind of get the most out of it together. Okay, amazing. We have Donna, we have Desiree. Welcome, welcome. And Kelly is relatively new. Amazing. Okay, well, so glad to have you here with us. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay. And just because we do have some new folks, I'm going to walk through really quickly the community guidelines. Just remember to be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Make sure we respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying in the chat. And any product and accessory questions or customer care inquiries can be forwarded to our team, hello@slickandSonder.com. And just remember, these Sonder socials are a way for all of us to connect and really get the most out of our journal. And for this one in particular, we're really focused on getting you prepped for your week so that you can kind of get rid of those Sunday scaries. So with that, let's first talk about the theme of knowledge. So when I think about knowledge, I love this theme because I feel like it's just a really great way to kind of tune in to kind of thinking about what we've learned, reflect on what we've learned, reflect on our process on how we learn, and then think about kind of what else we want to learn and what are we interested in learning more about. And I love kind of turning to the letter as kind of a source of how I think about knowledge. I love the quote that Meha wrote in the letter on page 2. Knowledge is power, knowledge shared is power multiplied. So when we think about knowledge, there's that one perspective of, acquiring a new skill or learning something for ourselves, but it's also, when you share it with the world, what you've learned, that is truly kind of when, the magic, that's what happens with like the magic of knowledge. So I really love that. And I'm really excited to kind of unpack knowledge a little bit in the social together. All right, so for folks who are new to a weekly setup social, or just kind of new to how we start off these socials, we focus on creating a mind map for each month. And we start it at the beginning of the month, and we focus on different areas centered around the theme. So we're on the last week of September. I know it's crazy that September is almost over, but I want to kind of think about we'll kind of unpack an element of the knowledge mind map together. So if you haven't done the first 3 weeks, that's totally fine. You can always screenshot the slide and get to those other 3 weeks if you'd like to fill it out. But we'll focus on kind of that one aspect for this week together. And then we'll move into our rosebud thorn, where we'll reflect on a highlight, an opportunity, and a challenge. And then we will go into the weekly setup pages together and walk through each section together. All right, so we'll focus on the knowledge mind map. So if you have your knowledge mind map from your past setups, go ahead and turn to that page or get that scratch paper that you worked on. And for folks who haven't started, you can flip to a blank page, or if it's your journal's already filled out, you can do this on a separate piece of paper. And for this week, we're going to focus on the metacognitive. So for this section, we'll reflect on your learning process. How do you approach acquiring new knowledge or skills? What strategies do you find most effective? And how do you adjust when something isn't working? Consider what this awareness of your own thinking pattern tells you about how you can optimize your learning in the future. This one's tough. I think this one is, I feel like my learning process personally has changed quite a bit. I kind of reflected here, and I kind of felt like for the most part, I have always adjusted how I learn based on the material that I'm being like assessed on. And in college, I remember coming from high school to high school is a lot of information regurgitated, whereas in college, I was really challenged to apply knowledge and the way in a very different way, just because engineering is much more problem solving and application based learning, and not just the exams, but also the homework and the projects. So the way my process was really doing a lot of exercises and constantly checking and identifying where I felt like I was making mistakes and fix it for that next exercise. So really practice is kind of what my typical approach is. And then I also think back on, my experience as a piano player. It was a lot of repetition. It was a lot of practice. It's a lot of, building up those foundations and then kind of making sure my technique is correct when I'm playing a piece. And then kind of keep playing it, keep thinking, keep hearing it, and just making those small, small adjustments so that I feel more confident in kind of my performance or my exam. Or, recently I've been studying for interviews. So in my interview, and I think it's also hard because it's not a perfect science, but it's definitely all about kind of trying your best. So that is kind of how I answered this. So I will give you all some time to reflect on your learning process and go ahead and write in the chat if you feel comfortable, kind of your learning process and what that journey has been like for you, and how you adjust when something isn't working and all of that, all that great information. So I will give you all some time to fill out your knowledge mind map, and we will move on to Rosebud Thorn next. All right. Thank you all for reflecting on your kind of learning process. I think it's really interesting how, I feel like we have such a unique way of how we learn and how we absorb information. And I think I think again, it's so dependent on what stage, what you're learning. Obviously, some things are better to be learned a different way. I'm learning a lot about interior design, and it's very different than how I learn a lot of like engineering stuff when I was in college. It's a lot more tactile, it's a lot more in person. There's a lot of moving parts. So I feel like it's so dependent on the material, but I think it's important to reflect on what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So hopefully it's easier to adapt and absorb information. All right, so with that, we will now move on to our rose, bud, and thorn. So for this rosebud thorn, let me turn to the page. Let's see. It is on page 50 of your journal. So let's go ahead and turn to page 50 for our rosebud thorn. And here is where we'll kind of reflect on the past week and think about what's something that was going well, a highlight, or something that you're grateful for. A bud is a new or emerging opportunity, something that's new on the horizon. And then a thorn is a challenge or something that you've been struggling with. So I always I'm very, very transparent with my Sonder family. So I always kind of reflect on my rosebud thorn, even though they're quite personal. So my rose this week was I really enjoyed working at a photo shoot for an interior designer. It was really fun to kind of see the behind the scenes and just it was a full day. It was 8 a.m. to like 8:30 p.m., but it was so much fun. It was really nice to just be in good company and kind of understand the process a little bit more. My bud is I have a job interview this week, so that's hopefully exciting. A thorn is lately, I feel like I'm very sensitive to rejection, and oftentimes that translates into feeling like I have low self-worth, whether it be in my career or whether it be in dating. It's tough, but I think it's just part of life. So I just have noticed that and trying to kind of manage my emotions that come along with that challenge. So, with that, I'll give you all some time to fill out your rosebud thorn and share with us in the chat what your highlight, what you're looking forward to, and a challenge that you're facing. So, we'll reconnect in a minute or two, and I'll see you then. All right. Thank you all for sharing your rosebud thorn with me. We will now move on to our weekly setup pages. So go ahead and flip the page. And we will be on page 52 for this week's setup. So let's focus on that first box at the top and think about kind of how we want to feel for the week. Here are some feelings. You can obviously choose one word, you can choose a couple words, it can be a phrase, whatever it is, kind of set that intention. And once you write it down, share with us in the chat, type it in the chat. I want to see what your intention is for the week. All right, we see focused. That was my word. So mine is focused and hopeful for the week. That's what I put down. Let's see what else. Productive, serene, new beginnings, motivated, centered, confident, accomplished, positive, empowered, passionate, prepared, renewed, proactive, rested, ready, unplugged, productive and focused, submissive, grace, intentional, grounded, progress. Um, Love it. Amazing. Okay, we have now set our intentions for the week. Now let's focus on thinking about what our weekly major 3 goals are going to be. So for this section, you can definitely structure it however you'd like to. Sometimes I just choose any 3 goals that I have. Sometimes I choose 3 goals that kind of align with my intention of how I want to feel. And just thinking about kind of what is top of mind. So these are basically 3 goals that you really want to accomplish this week. A lot of the times people like make it much more like tactical goals. But for me, I kind of they're almost like inspirational goals for me. So it's like just kind of subtle reminders and like phrases to help me feel like, I'm making sure that I am feeling my intention, which is focused and hopeful. So with that, I will give you all some time. You can definitely set it up in different ways. So here you see people kind of separate it, like they want to celebrate their health, their family, their vacation. They want to be aware. They want to have some goals for the work, for home. So there's a lot of different ways that you can set this up. Maybe you want to do more than 3 goals. That's totally fine. But just kind of this is your space to think about what you want to prioritize for the week. So I'll give you all some time to fill out your 3 goals, and then we'll move on to the to-do section next. All right. These are such powerful goals. I've just been reading through the chat and I really, really like how different but also similar our goals are. So I love that. I feel like it's always nice to kind of pinpoint what we want to focus on for the week, whether it be inspirational, whether it be some things to help us get us through. It is really important to just kind of focus on, what we've been struggling with and making sure we're focused on those goals. All right. So now we'll move on to the weekly to do section. This is one that I love to kind of walk through. Of course, this could be a bulleted list of things you need to get done, which is usually how I set this up, but you can definitely set this up a couple of different ways. So for here, like for example, this slide shows this Eisenhower matrix. So say you have some to-do items and maybe you want to prioritize what's important and what is urgent. And that will kind of help you determine what you need to do, what decisions you need to make, what you need to delegate, and what you need to remove or delete. So for example, something you can delete is maybe scrolling on TikTok or anything that's just kind of helping, not really kind of contributing to kind of us focusing on what we actually need to get done or limiting that kind of time on social media or a TV show that we're like obsessed with, maybe limiting that time we spend watching that TV show, or whatever it is to help kind of boost that productivity. Maybe delegate is something that you have somebody that supports you, that can help you with some chores around the house, or maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your partner, or maybe it's somebody that you work with. So think about kind of what that is for you, and then some decisions you need to make. Maybe there's certain things that you need to get done, but they're not necessarily like action items. So that's kind of the Eisenhower matrix. Here are some other examples that I'll walk us through. So I love kind of the aspect of making this like almost like a bingo board. So you can kind of convert this to become a little bit more of like a game. So you can cross it off with markers or stickers. There's this aspect of the need, want, hope, to-do list, which is really great if you're feeling like you want to kind of be in a little bit more of a dreamer state and thinking about kind of the future. So thinking about what your wants, what your wishes are, and what you versus and kind of separating that from what you need is a great way to structure this. I also like this aspect of a not to-do list. So maybe, we talked about kind of that delete. So section of the Eisenhower matrix, making that kind of section a little bit broader and thinking about what you need to remove from your life so that you don't feel like your best self, like things that are contributing to maybe low self-worth, whatever that may be. And then you can also separate it by category. I love that. That's kind of how I set mine up this week, where you have like your personal to-dos, your work to-dos, whatever it is that you have, your self goals, your home goals, whatever it may be, thinking about kind of what that is. So those are great ways to set this up. I will give you all some time to set up your to-do list and share with us something that you're kind of looking forward to crossing off on your to-do list this week. All right. Thank you all for sharing your to-dos. I will definitely I'll show you the Eisenhower matrix, Claire, no problem. You can go ahead and take a screenshot of this. And we'll now move on to the habit and activity section, which is right underneath those two boxes we just worked on. Um, so for this section, it can really be whatever habits you'd like to track. I love some of these examples. Of course, you can, if you kind of track your habits in the monthly tracker, you can definitely kind of keep that there. Maybe you want to track different habits week to week, or maybe you want to track some habits that you were working on last week and they were working well for you and you want to keep that going. So oftentimes I turn to kind of my last week and I see which habits I feel like good about and I keep that going. And then any habit that I feel like was not really a success, I change that habit and see if there's another habit that I can replace it with that's within that same realm. So that's what I do. And obviously, that's personal habits are obviously dependent on what is a priority for you. You can definitely take inspiration from this. I love kind of the example in the middle here where she's using the numbers in the bubbles. So not just crossing it off, but also kind of providing some metrics to jot down as she kind of manages her health goals. And then I also like setting this up almost like a nightly routine. So if you see the example at the top left, that is really an example that's kind of highlighting some habits that you she wants to build up before she goes to bed. It's a great way to put like almost like a night routine there. So that's a great way to do it. There's a lot of different fun ways to do it. And just remember that the goal is not always to just cross off each bubble. I mean, if you can, great, but we're all human, and I want us to remember going into our week that we should always give ourselves grace and remember that life is challenging and unpredictable, and it's okay if you don't fill out every bubble. It's just a matter of trying something and seeing if it works, and hopefully, kind of building up that habit will help you with your goals. So, with that, I'll give you all some time to set up your habits and go ahead and share with us what habits you're working on. Is there anything that you're adding that's new? Let us know in the chat kind of those habits that you are thinking about putting for this week, and we'll regroup in a little bit. All right. Thank you all for sharing the habits that you're tracking this week. We'll now move on to that second page and we'll walk through kind of these sections together. So keep in mind, this second page really, really gets heavily repurposed. So I'm going to walk through a lot of different ways you can set this up. Of course, you can set it up for its intended purpose. If that works for you and that's how you want to use it, absolutely go ahead with that. But there's so many fun, creative ways that you all use these sections. And I'll walk you through a couple different ways you can set this up if you feel like you want to try something different. So, for this one, here is the meal plan. So, this section really, really gets repurposed a lot. It's a great blank box. So, you can put in your affirmations in this section. Of course, you can set up your food log or your meal plan if you want to kind of use it in that purpose. You can use this for a way to kind of separate your zones of like a chore. So I love this way of kind of say you want to clean the whole house, but it's too much to do it all in one day. So setting it up where you're doing it zone by zone so that everything gets a little tidy and clean, but it's not super overwhelming in one go. That's a great way to do it. I love kind of using this as like a wardrobe planner. So maybe you're going on a trip and you want to use this section to kind of plan out your outfits for the week. You can do it that way. You can also use this section for reflection. I used it as a reflection section last week because one of my goals was to journal before bed. So I had a little prompt on each day of kind of my reflection of the day. And then also, you can use this place to put appointments. I think oftentimes we have a lot going on in our lives. I know I have about like 3 or 4 Google calendars, and it's just a mess. So it's kind of nice to have a physical journal with a space where I can put all my meetings, important meetings and appointments all in one place. And it's something that I look at every day, so I won't miss it. So I feel like that's a great place to put it as well. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I bulleted out a few different ways you can set this up. And I will give you all some time to set up your meal plan, and then we'll move on to the mind body health plan next. All right, now we'll move on to the Mind Body Health Plan. So for this section, we'll kind of think about kind of how you want to set this up. I love really focusing on kind of what is going to be that treat for you for the week. Each day is something that really helps me. For me, I typically put my workouts because I just focus a lot on kind of my body health goals. So I want to make sure I have all my workout classes or kind of whatever workouts I want to do. Just in general, I like to put it in there. I also even account for like a rest day if I like to have a rest day, which today is my rest day. So I think it's important for me to kind of make sure I'm on track of those things that are important to me and helps me kind of in turn have a free mind. So that is how I use it. But I love these other examples here. I like the fact that, how do you want to feel? What do you need? Kind of separating that out. I think that's such a great way to kind of structure this. I like just also kind of thinking about, I love the alliteration Motivation Monday, Talk It Out Tuesday, Walking Wednesday, thinking about kind of making it fun and almost themed based on the day is a great way to do it. Ooh, Kelly's going to use it for a dopamine menu. I love that. And then also, I like this example on the bottom right that's really talking about kind of unplugging for a little bit and kind of what you can do to unplug and just really your self care menu. It's really your self care plan to kind of make sure that you are giving yourself the love that you need to get through, our challenging days. So, with that, I'll give you all some time to set up your mind body health plan, and then we'll walk through the shopping list next. right. Thank you all for kind of sharing how you use this section. I think it's such a fun way to just kind of see how everyone uses this mind body health plan in very different ways. We'll now move on to the shopping list section. So again, this is a heavily, heavily repurposed section. Of course, you can use it for, maybe you want to put your grocery list here, or you have just like things you need to buy. You can use that section for, what, like itemizing that list. But you can also use it in like a very different way. So maybe you want to focus on, maybe you want to create another bingo board, or maybe you want to put a quote that's going to help you feel inspired. I love these examples here. It shows kind of the, different ways you can use this section. You can use this as a calm scale, like maybe one of your intentions for the week is to stay calm, and maybe measuring that in a chart is really fun, a visual way to kind of gauge how calm you are day to day. I like this option of mini breakout work, thinking about kind of if you are feeling like you're always stuck on your computer, or you're just really kind of in the weeds at in your day-to-day job, finding those kind of little moments for a little break and those ideas is a great way to do it. There's so many fun ways to repurpose this section, and I love just kind of how different it is for me, because week to week, I set this up extremely different. So I almost never use it for its intended purpose as a shopping list, unless I'm like prepping for a vacation or a trip or something. Or I sometimes use it as like a packing list, because it's just helpful for, planning the outfits. So you can definitely use this however you'd like to. Feel free to type in the chat what that is for you, and share with us how you use this section, how you'd like to use this section. And then we'll regroup for that last little box before we close out the social. All right, we are nearing the end of the social. This hour just always flies by, so thank you all for sticking it out with me. We will now move on to that last little box, the I am loving section. So everyone just take a deep breath. We've done a lot of writing, a lot of setup, and it's important to kind of think about kind of what we're loving. So once you figure out what you're loving, maybe you want to close your eyes for a little bit, and maybe open them when you're ready and write it down and share with us in the chat what you are loving. Mary's loving myself, being quiet. I love it. I am really loving just the sun I've been getting in San Francisco. It's really nice. And it just helps me stay more awake and more motivated. So I'm really enjoying the sunny weather that we're getting here in the city. And all right, let's see. Loving Silk and Sonder. Yes, I'm so glad. And a watercolor class. Ooh, so many fun little things, and it's important to remember kind of what we're loving every time, we kind of reflected on our rosebud thorns at the beginning of the social. And, it's important to remember, what we're loving and really thinking about our rose and our highlight to really get us through sometimes when we're kind of dealing with our thorns. So thank you so much for spending this hour with me and setting up your week. It's been so amazing to see all the chatter in the chat, as well as all the ideas that were floating through. So thank you all so much for sharing throughout the social. Remember to share your weekly pages with us. In Sonder Club, there's an inspiration section. As you can see, a lot of the examples are from all of you. So make sure to share all of your beautiful work with us in Sonder Club. And also, here are some QR codes. Katie will add some links in the chat, but we have a referral program going on. So if you feel like it's, Silk and Sonder is working for you, and you feel like it'll help somebody in your life, go ahead and take advantage of that referral program. And then if you're not on an annual subscription already, make sure to check that out. You could be saving a lot more money. And then also make sure to fill out that feedback survey. It's the way where we kind of figure out how we can tailor our programming to best serve you. This is a community event. This is included with your membership. So it's really to best serve you. So let us know what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of, and we will, tailor it accordingly. Thank you all so much. And then also we have the YouTube link that will have kind of the other socials in case you missed one. Go ahead and check that out. That houses all of our past socials in case you're curious. And thank you all so much for spending this hour with me. A couple more things. We have this kind of life coach just on demand. And it's a great way to kind of think about, a self-care plan. So that's happening right now. It's in its beta phase. So if you're interested in checking it out, check that out. And then also, if you want to have a ton of instrumental music to keep journaling to, go ahead and scan that QR code. That'll open the Spotify playlist that houses all of the fun instrumental music. So thank you all so much for spending this hour with us. I really enjoyed it. So thank you. And I will see you next time. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.
Turn it inside out so I can see the part of you that's drifting over me. And when I wake, you're never there. And when I sleep, you're everywhere. You're everywhere. Just tell me how I got this far. tell me.